That was a good sandwich. Hey guys, welcome back for another cook video. So on this episode, we are still going to be talking about pork chops. So if you haven't watched that last video, we did talk about pork chops again, so I'll leave a link to the top for you to check out. But in that video, we talked more about a specific breed of hog and comparing that to a cheaper cut that you might find at your local grocery store. And while I love pork chops that are super high quality and, you know, cut to an inch and a half, you know, that's not something that is realistic for everyone to do, and it's also something that, like, I'm not going to be able to eat that every day. To the disbelief of my former students and my football players right now, no, I am not a YouTuber who eats Wagyu steak every day. That's reserved for very, very special people. Guga, I will meet you there at the top of Mount YouTube someday. So then we have to talk about, all right then, what do we do if we do have cheaper cuts of pork chop? What's the best way to get the most out of it? I'm going to introduce to you guys a local, I think it's a local Chicago classic, which is a pork chop sandwich. Correction, bone-in pork chop sandwich. I don't want to get too much into it. Let's just start cooking it. So the most important ingredient to this dish is caramelized onion. All right. You massage these onions just to separate them a little bit more. And as many of you guys know, even this pile of onions will shrink down quite a bit. To be honest with you, I probably should have grabbed another onion, but I only grabbed one. Oh well. And this video is sponsored by Hexclad. Nah, I wish. My mom just happened to get these pans, and they're actually really nice. So Hexclad, let's do something together. I already have your product anyway. Hit me up, please. To help these onions go along, we'll hit it with a little bit of salt to help them sweat a little bit more. So as you caramelize these onions, you could add a little bit of oil just to kind of get it going as well. Some people like to add a little bit of water to kind of keep them from getting all toasty. It's kind of the same way that people like render tallow. Some people like putting a little bit of water in there because they think it helps it to, you know, kind of distribute that heat a little bit. So, you do you guys. But you can see as I'm, even right now, as I've just kind of been tossing it during this short period of time, like, they're starting to get nice and dark. So I would just say one of the things to not do is just to, like, don't walk away from this pan right here. And you hear a lot of people talk about also making like roux, and if you do it at a high heat, you can get it done pretty quickly. I can't really say much because I don't ever really make roux, and I've never personally made one before, but I guess that's something similar to that. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do right now. I gotta step away from this. I'm gonna add some water to this and also turn the heat down just a little bit too, just so that these don't char up and we get a bitter taste on these onions. Not a lot, just a little bit. We can pick up that fond off that bottom of that pan too, from all like that caramelized onion also. The other thing too with this sandwich, I don't want it to get super dry, and I want to have a little bit of moisture. Once these pork chops are done, they let them sit in this like stewed onion. Yeah, but I do want them to get a little bit darker. So if you look at this onion right there, even though it's got some color on it, it's still a little bit too toothy for me. And so we're gonna let go for a little bit longer. All right guys, so here's that same pork chop that we were talking about earlier when I was comparing the other one that we had. And so I'm gonna flip it over on the other side. And like I said, because this side wasn't really scraped down with all that other debris on there. So I'm gonna do that real quickly. So with your spoon, you're just gonna scrape it down. So usually if you get a big assortment of different cuts, like, I would recommend doing this. If I get a pack of meat like this, I'll do this when I'm trying like meal prep, and when I do meal prep, I actually use lamb shoulder steaks, and I usually have to do the same treatment with this, and then in between each chop, I'll put a layer of butcher paper through it just so that you can reduce the amount of oxidation that happens. But, you know, just going this once over, I mean, this is how much came off of it. Typically, a sandwich is done over a flat top, but when you got Fogo, why not get some char in there? So this recipe also requires the cheapest white bun that you can possibly find at the grocery store. And usually these buns are steamed, but because, hey, we got this beautiful fire going, we're gonna be toasting these buns off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You got stickage. That's what happens when you step away from your grills. See, guys, this is why companies give you more buns than hot dogs or burgers, because they know that people like me are idiots and they'll burn their buns. See? Now it all makes sense. All right, while we're doing that, let's get our pork grilled. Bun attempt number 2. Clayton, rate my toast. All right, so we got some pretty good color on these on this pork chop right here. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this off and we're gonna rest this inside the pan with all the onions, and so we can get this extra juice that's dripping to be on the onions, and also get the onion juice to be part of here, and to, you know, keep it a little more moist. All right, so this pork chop is gonna go straight into these onions right here. Another thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a couple of these onions and let them sit on top also. This step isn't necessary. I just want to do this because this is what they do at places like Maxwell's and gyms. If you keep in here for too long, is that pork chop is going to start to steam out. We're pretty much there right now, but I just wanted to show you this is kind of what they do, and this is another way you can kind of do it to kind of like get a little extra flavors mingling. You're going to take this off the heat, and we're going to start assembling the sandwich. First step is going to have an overly fancy plate for this sandwich with these perfectly toasted buns that were done on the first attempt. And then the only other thing that goes onto this sandwich is going to be yellow mustard. Now, this is just my opinion, but this is where I think the mustard should go. Not on top of all the onions and everything like that, because if you put it on top of the onions, when you bite the sandwich and the onions start to move around, then your distribution of mustard is not even anymore. And also, only gonna go on the bottom bun. I have a generous amount of mustard that goes on there. Again, there's a lot of onions and there's a lot of pork. So we're gonna put some mustard, and again, because we want it to be even and make sure that mustard is involved in every single bite, because there's not a lot of ingredients on this sandwich, so you want to make sure that it's nice and cohesive. Beautiful. Can you even see that? We might have to do this all over again. Let's try this again. An overly fancy plate for this ridiculous sandwich. Perfectly toasted buns with mustard. Perfectly toasted buns with mustard and no onions on there yet. Our pork chop bone in and all. And now our beautifully caramelized onions. Right there. Just enough for our top bun to cover it. The only additional thing that I think I want to add to this right now is a little bit of black pepper, because I like it. And then we're gonna top it off. Again, our perfectly toasted bun. Wow. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That is a beautiful bone-in pork chop sandwich inspired by Maxwell's gyms, wherever you get your sandwiches from. But for the sake of YouTube, you gotta make sure we get a good thumbnail, so we'll put a little extra there. A little extra mustard on the side right there so people know that it's in there, and then the thumbnail, it doesn't just look like a brown sandwich. Also, shout out to one of my coaches this year that I'm working with, Dan Wilson, because this man eats mustard with his fries, and I think that's pretty unique and cool, and I like him a lot. Shout out, Dan. I don't know if you're watching this while you're working, but hey, this one is for you, sir, that extra mustard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Let's give this thing a try. Pro move. Don't bite that end right there. Mmm. Pretty good sandwich right there. Supposed to be losing weight for a wedding right now, but oh well. I haven't had dinner yet today, so this'll do. Got a question for you. Do you like this angle better? If you do, give this video a like. And if you hate it, tell me below down in the comments. There you have it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's something that I want to have a little bit of fun with, and it's also something that I honestly would have more often if it was more available. Usually where they sell these bone-in pork chop sandwiches are places that are further down in the city, so it's a little bit of a trek to me just to go and get this one sandwich, and it's super easy to put together. So if you guys have some time to really just cut some onions really and caramelize them, that's the longest part of this entire cook. Pork chops go super fast, and it really is super delicious. So that's the end of this video, guys. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. If you haven't done already, make sure you click the bell notification to know when my next video will come out. And if you make the sandwich at home and you're on Instagram, post a picture, tag Knox at Barbecue to it so I can share with everyone else. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.